all of the tools generally have the same basic structure, but there are differences. So um, we're going to take a look at the historical tracker tool. And so it's the historical climate tracker. And just to see the general layout of these different tools. So first there's an initial splash screen here that gives in the name and description of what this tool does. So you can see here, this is the historical climate tracker, and it provides a bar plot or scatter plot of historical summaries of observed monthly climate variables like temperature and precipitation for a selected location in the contiguous USA. And initially from here, we have 3 suggestions of things you might want to do. You might want to take a tour if this is the first time you've been to the tool. You might want to set your location already because you know what you want to do, or you just might want to go to the tool. So we're just going to go to the tool. And what we see in this tool here is that all of the options are on the left, and where you can choose your location. You can choose the location from some different geometries, like picking a point location or a rectangular area or a US county or watershed. And on the right is the visualization. It's where the graph is, or in some cases the map. This is where the data summary is. In the upper right-hand corner of the tool, there are buttons that are designed to help you. So for example, here, there's a documentation button that gives you information about the data source. So if I click on that, we're going to look at that real quick. This is common for all of the tools. So in this documentation button is where you find information about the data sources that are used in this tool. So you can see here that we have 4 different main data sets that are used in this tool. The climate and drought indices are coming from the GridMet data set, which I described just a little bit earlier when we were looking at the data tab. So we can see here that from this information that the GridMet data, the climate and drought indices are available on a 4-kilometer grid or a 2.5-mile grid. And we can also, from this, see how to cite this data set if we use it. So this is the data citation for the data set. Also under this documentation tab, there is a variable link tab where you can find definitions of the different variables. This is useful just to clarify some lesser known variables. So for example, potential evapotranspiration is something that not all people might know what this is, or might be looking for exactly how we calculate it. So potential evapotranspiration is the maximum water demand for a reference grass crop. And it's calculated using the Penman-Monteith method, which is probably the best method for calculating it from climate data. So this is, a list of variables with some quick definitions. Under the calculations tab, we can find some information about how things are calculated. This might be some different details. So for example, we have a regression analysis in the tool. And so I have a kind of a extensive thing here about how to interpret that data. And then finally, under the tool tab, we just have some information about the tool, about who had created it and when it was a citation for using the tool. So this is if you download graphs and maps, you can cite the Climate Toolbox by using a citation like this. Yeah. So then also up in this corner here with the guidance, there is also a button for citing the tool, which also tells you how to cite the tool if you use it. And then you can also take a tour, and this is the same button as we initially saw on that splash screen. So when we take a tour, we basically can lead ourselves through a self-led tour. So you can see here that if you just forward button, it leads you through the different pieces of the tool. So it shows you that first step is to choose a location. Next step is to choose the data set, where here it's choosing the variable and also the time period. Then it shows you the graph and maybe explains a little bit about it. Like here it's telling you what the red bars and the blue bars are, and that you can hover over the bars to see the data, and we can do that in a second. Also in this tool specifically, you can change the graph. You can look at the graph as a bar chart, or you can look at it as a scatter plot. And you can also add a best fit line in this tool. And then finally, the tour also points you up to that documentation in the right upper corner and how to restart, and then that's the end of the tour. So that's basically the layout of all of our tools here, is that we have this basic layout, and that's where you can find information. All of the tools allow you to set a location in some way. So for example, and here, and it's under the choose location section of the tool. Here, you can choose a data extraction for this visual here at a point location. Or you can look at it as an area average over a rectangular area, or you can get an area average over a county, or an area average over a Huck watershed. So for example, how you do that is you can choose the location here. And in the location setter, you have three options for setting the location. You can set the location by entering a city or a national forest, or this is basically a Google location setter. So you can find lots of different things here. You can find a ski resort. So you can geolocate it based on this. You can take your marker and you can drag it to a location. You can also zoom in and really refine that location. And here we can put it in Bend, Oregon. We can also refine the coordinates here and maybe put in an exact entry of a latitude and longitude and coordinate to set your location that way. So then you hit the set location button, and when you return to the tool, the graph is updated for your location, and you'll see that location that you set both in the subtitle for your map or graph, and then you'll also see it in the upper left corner here. And if you want to get back to that location setter, you can either choose the location, or you can also click this link here to change your location. Yeah, and then if you choose something like the rectangular area here, what you do is you have the two options. The only option really is you can set the coordinates directly within the bounding box, or you can drag the box of the latitude and longitude. Again, you can zoom in and really refine that. You can also give a name for your rectangle, so that when you get back to the tool, it's actually updated here in the subtitle. So that helps you when you download this data to recognize, to label what your location is. Also in this section, there's most of the tools, there's a download section where you can download the graph. And that's actually downloading the graph as a PNG format. And you can also download the data. So, and actually, this probably will not show up on the screen. Yeah, they will not actually. But basically, I've got a chart that I can insert into reports, and I've also got an Excel spreadsheet that has my data in it that just got downloaded, and I can use that raw data and do my own analysis, make my own plot. At that point, I have the data that is directly on this graph, so I can do with what I want with it.